I studied painting, so after I finished painting my first degree, I took some time out and began to think about things that felt more like scripts and sort of were conducive to narratives, really. And I felt that film, with its, emphasis on time and duration and these things that I was making seemed to sort of be like a kind of very early form of my own sort of film work or time-based work. So I started to use light tape and created, and that's when I first made First Memory. So I created a kind of a multimedia type of piece of work, which then transformed itself into a linear piece of work and was refilmed as a 16mm film, essentially, which was First Memory. So I think that seemed to correspond a lot more to what I wanted to say and explore, which at that point became much more related to gender identity. And it seemed to me that painting and the culture around painting wasn't really geared up or interested in that kind of exploration. The idea of the feminine has inspired my films. And that's an idea that comes partly from French psychoanalysis or French feminist theory, psychoanalytic theory in part, and particularly the work of Kristeva. I found that very enriching. And a writer like Lensiks, or a writer-poet like Lensiks, was also very interesting. And also through feminism, the ideas, the polemics, the social polemics around, the role of gender and the place of gender in culture and in the social. Obviously that influence, that feeds into that idea. So it's not a non-political idea, but it's not a political idea in that sense that I'm interested in that totally. And also aesthetics, because the way that the feminine is thought through in Kristeva has implications for the aesthetic, has implications for art. That's what really she's talking about, the feminine, not as a biological given, I suppose, but she's talking about how it's a kind of it's an aspect of our experience that we, in a sense, suppress. That is part that she calls a semiotic, basically, and so that it comes through in aesthetics, or it can come through in aesthetics. And that's the bit that always interested me. This bit that's not really covered by language. The part that's not really kind of sayable or it can be said by language, but not really properly, and so it's best conveyed in other ways. Like, music can do that. Or sound can do that. But the visual can also do that. And time can also do that. So that was my interest in film as well. Most of my films seem to center on is the voice. And I've used the voice because that was one, I talked earlier on about the feminine and about, obviously, gender identity. And I felt that I didn't also want to use abstraction entirely, because I'd escaped that through from painting. I'd escaped total abstraction. I wasn't really interested in going into avant-garde abstraction through structuralism. I didn't think there was any space there for the kind of subject areas that I wanted to talk about. So the voice really provides a very sensuous and also rich place, where you can sort of begin to create the subject, and also it's the thing that's least trapped by the body, you could say. The voice also was always an outcast, in terms of the visual culture of, say, structuralist film. And even artist film, the voice has always been a sort of a poor second cousin or an outcast to the main business, which is the image. And I've always tried to work with both. I have tended to use disciplines and discourses from outside of film to feed my own research. rather than, say, use writing on film, which I have done, of course, read as well, but the things that have inspired me have really remained outside of the field itself, the specialist field itself. So I fed my own ideas and my own work through other discourses. And I did that with psychoanalysis, which was very, very exciting. I mean, I went to the Cornaro Chapel in Rome to make Now I'm Yours because, partly because of Lacan's seminar, on Saint Teresa and jouissance, and so it fed in. Of course, I'd also read Saint Teresa, and of course, I was interested in her writing anyway, and also other things fed into it. But so it fed in and gave me ideas about where I could take the kinds of issues that psychoanalysis was raising in terms of desire, in terms of subjectivity. I'm just again looking at music and the woman's voice in song, and I'm interested in looking in particular at a particular kind of genre of song, which is it's a Spanish national song actually, and it's from the 30s to the 50s, and it has. Again, I'm trying to see what I want to do with that.